Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Captain on the Bridge podcast, brought to you by Hyperion Team. I am your host today, JKCrafted, and I am joined by Pete Schultz, MartyPCSR, and Noah. Do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Pete Salt. I am the Lord Noob, but, I've read all the manga and the VMs, so can I really be a noob?
Hello, I am MartyPCSR. I got dragged into this podcast, but I do like the lore, so I felt responsible to be here.
Hi, my name is Noah. I also really like the lore, play a lot of these games, and I'm also a member of Hoyo Stands as well. So yeah, back to JKCrafted.
So, multimedia. This whole game franchise is a mess. There's no way around it. We have manga, we have visual novels, we have side story animes, we have animated shorts. It's all over the place. There's no way around it.
The fact that you need to read 10 mangas to understand a good chunk of the story is a little bit insane. And there's even external visual novels that you can read for more context on a lot of other characters and mechanics in this world. So,
yeah, there's so much stuff all over the place. Makes new player experience hard, but yeah.
And we're here to break it down for you guys.
Yeah.
So I guess like the easiest form of media that, Honkai has is probably like all the little animes and stuff. I know when I wasn't into Honkai 3rd, I actually did watch Cooking with Valkyries at one point because I was just like, oh wow, there's like this new little cooking anime. Might as well go watch it. And I knew absolutely nothing about Honkai around that time, and I was just like, well, all these characters are goofy, and I never came back to it until I think like 2020.
Yeah, the side story anime is definitely a good entry point for a lot of people because you don't need to know what's going on. They're just having fun. It's just the group. They're doing stuff because they want to. It's just fun. And they're great like that. Having them separate works perfectly fine. They work great as an introduction. And yeah, they're just really good.
I also think it's interesting that it's also one of the very few medias that Honkai has where, like, they're kind of just chilling at school. Because I feel like generally in Honkai 3rd, a lot of the times, like, the whole crew is being thrown into, like, a new, like, dangerous situation, or, like, they're outside of the school or out on a mission, doing things. It's very rare do you ever get to see that these characters, like, kind of get to chill out for the most part.
Yeah, and it shows a whole new side to them that we don't really get to see a lot. They are just hanging out.
When characters actually get to be people.
Yeah. It's like Pixel was saying, like, we spend so much of the time in the story dealing with plot, and they always refer back to like the peaceful, happy times at Saint Freya, and this is really the only view that we get of them having those peaceful, happy times.
Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah,
canon,
not even in the manga.
Yep.
I feel like there's only like maybe like 2 mangas or so. Well, Cooking of Valkyries is based off of the manga too, but like, it's like even then, like they have at least like 10 plus mangas, and then like maybe 1 or 2 of them are just them chilling, or it's like a gag manga. But I don't know. I feel like, especially since we deal with so much in the story, having that contrast is like, it's really nice.
Just having like some brevity at all, like between like all the crazy stuff that happens in the story is definitely a good thing. Something Peach Soul said I can kind of relate to. I think that I saw like the one with Kiana and like the pizza toast like way before I ever got into Honkai. Just because it's just I don't know, it's just good. It's just watch.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, what's your guys' like favorite episode? I gotta ask.
The one with Teresa and Mini Otto.
Oh yeah, the it's like the one with the minced beef, no? Or like Otto's just like going like, damn, you know, what is this commoner food? And then like eats it, and he's like, damn, this is kind of good. Like,
This peasant food.
sorry, I like channeled my Orin High School host clip right there.
Like when Otto isn't able to have a glass of wine in his hand.
Mm-hmm. So it's this peasant's food, and then like, I don't know. I also thought it was really funny that, especially around this time, I'm not sure if it was like, actually no, I think it was released for specifically Second Eruption, but they have a stigmata that's also kind of like shows like baby Otto and Teresa like next, like, you know, with each other, and I thought that stigmata was really cute and a nice little reference to that episode as well.
Yeah, it's really nice when we get to see them hang out like that.
Yeah.
I think for me,
What about you,
it's the
JKCrafted?
episode of Bronya and Shiar going to the beach together.
Hey, you can't just steal my episode.
I am stealing your episode. I
What
just
the
feel
frick?
like, you know, it is like the fulfillment of everything that they wanted and dreamed of. So I consider it canonical to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's go to the sea together. Like, sorry, that moment is very you know, how should I say, uh, for the queers. That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
They're fed. They're well fed.
yeah, I'm well fed. That's what.
Yeah. I think like going back to like developing like relationships with the characters, like we kind of don't really get to see like how close Teresa and Otto really were, because like they really actually do have like that bond between them, as much as it's like we know about all like the negative stuff involved in their relationship, but it's like, well, more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
the Ascent story. Yeah.
The moment
Ascent
that like
story.
Teresa kind of just like makes it out of the gauntlet, you know, Teresa gets treated like Otto's granddaughter the whole time. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely where these shine. They show them as people, and it really helps develop the characters, even outside of the main continuity. It really shows how, if things didn't go the way they did, they could have had great lives, and just makes the whole story a bit sad.
Just rub it in.
yeah,
Twist
rubbing
the
salt
knife.
into the wound. It's like, you know. Oh yeah. Also, there's those shorts that they release like every Chinese New Year. There's like the one with Himiko, and they're making like hot pot, and like, I don't know, just like everything about it is like so domestic and stuff that like, you know, there's like that one part where Himiko is like she's eating like the hot pot and stuff, and then everyone around her is like being all lively, and she kind of just like looks up into the sky, or like like kind of to the ceiling, and just goes like, you know, man, I wish this moment would never end. And I'm just like, my heart. And then like, you know, especially after going through like chapter like 9 stuff, it's just like, my kokoro, like,
They're just twisting in the knife.
they really like doing that.
Oh yeah, they love doing that. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, cooking with Valkyries.
But yeah,
I mean,
actually,
yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, JKCrafted, we actually haven't, you know, what's your favorite episode of Cooking with Valkyries?
It's also the Celia and Bronya at the beach one. So nice
Jeez.
just to see them have that moment.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like legitimately my favorite episode from season 2. I think like my second runner up would probably be like the beach episode that they have in season 1. Like it's like a two-parter, but like it just oh yeah, speaking of the beach episode though, I actually did make the sangria that they put into the episode, and I brought it over the next time that they had like the part 2 event at Santa Monica. I brought some of the sangria with me to drink with friends at the beach.
Oh, that's fire.
And I don't know, dude, we did that. We had watermelon pizza. It was like it was so fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, and just doing that shit by the beach, like.
All the
But I don't
episodes are
know.
so good.
those episodes are kind of like a little bit of core memories for me, and you know the insane amount of time that I ended up rewatching a lot of these animes like multiple times over. Like, you know, I can't get sick of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
that like one clip I see get posted a lot. You know the one where like Kiana like forgets something, she goes back in, and then she starts running out and calling Mason names.
Oh yeah, I saw that. She said, "Basic, like, you
Yeah.
know, it's like I don't know, just like the Cooking with Valkyrie stuff is such like meme material. Like,
It's so real.
yeah. Also, the OP is a banger. Okay, I will say the OP for season 1 is a banger, and then the ED for season 2, like, I love it so much. Okay, I wish I could sing in Chinese because, like, I don't know, just the general sound of it is like so nice. I think it's like the song's called like "Make a Wish with You" or something like that, and like, oh,
Yeah. I don't know who allowed them to make all the intros and outros just so good.
yeah.
It's unfair.
I need Cooking with Valkyrie season 3, please. Please, I'm
Real.
starving. Like,
With Valkyries, but on the moon.
okay. Well, enough about Cooking with Valkyries. How do you guys feel about Elf Academy?
Alpha Academy is great.
Dude, I feel like Elf Academy is like one of the funniest like fucking like media on the planet. Like the amount of laughs I get out of that freaking show is like insane.
Full transparency, I haven't seen Elf Academy.
What? No, what the
Yeah,
frick? It's like
I'm
okay,
sorry.
hold on.
I'm
Elf
sorry.
Academy is peak, okay? It has like all of the funny moments, you know. There's like a bunch of stupid references that like, you know, any Honkai third player would understand, okay? Like there's like this part, I think it's like in episode 2 or 3 where like, you know, like I think it's like wait, what's the one with the white hair? I think Blood Embrace. I think it's Blood Embrace. Like
Yes,
Blood
it
Embrace
is.
is like trying to like hide from freaking Teresa, like all of her shit that's like around around the house, and she like literally it brings up the danger like sign that like, you know, when you enter in a stage and you're about to fight an enemy. It's like so fucking funny, and then she fucking utilizes time stop to clean up everything. Like, dude, it's like it's so peak. I'm so
It's
upset that we never
definitely
will get a season 2.
it's like an animation that's meant for like really deeply involved players, which is why like it stands apart compared to some of the other animations that they've made because it's such a gamer thing, you know?
I do like it when they have things in there that just make you like actually soy face, like like point at the screen and be like I do I like that stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I like that stuff.
Yeah. So good.
Honestly, I should have watched it just on the basis alone that like Siren and Bella are in it.
Yeah, there's like the Siren Villa episode and where you get to celebrate Siren's birthday. It's like so cute. Like also, I don't know, this like last like episode being just like a fucking Idol or Love Live reference. You know, we gotta save the
Oh, yeah.
school with idols. Like it's like so fucking funny. Like I don't know. I feel like it's like peak like, you know,
Like
referential
Golden
anime
Era
humor.
Honkai, you know?
Yeah.
Goofy, like gamer esque. It's like this when you read like the oldest gag manga in the game, like this is like that, but in animated form.
True, it
Yeah.
really it does kind of give like animated for coma.
Okay,
Honestly,
I
they should
gotta
just give
say,
us that.
actually, okay, but like for me, I feel like the most peak like comedy anime and stuff are like four comos. Okay, they have the good amount of pacing because they, you know, they go through the jokes and stuff, and usually like it's not like too bad. You know, like Nozaki-kun, Tomo's a girl. There's like a bunch of other
Isn't
fucking
Pochi the Rock like a 4 coma?
yeah,
Am I
Blood to
right?
the Rock is a 4 coma too. So it's just like I'm just sitting here like, dude, I feel like the most peak adaptations is stuff out of 4 coma. So if they made another one, another 4 coma just for Elf Academy, I'd eat it up. Okay, like also, how dare they tease Blood Sakura and then not make her an elf?
rip to elves in general.
Mhm.
True.
Elf Kevin
Yeah,
then.
we ain't never getting those bitches ever again. No Kevin Elf, no nothing. Like,
Well, just sad that
Heaven
like
Elf stolen from us.
let
yeah,
Project Bunny be in an anime.
Real.
Oh, yeah.
Give us the Kiana Elf in an anime.
Elf Durandal.
Kiana Elf and
along
Blade
with
Durandal
Garmadon.
interacting. Real.
yeah.
That would be great.
Oh yeah,
Elf
Otto's right
Academy is
here. I
so
totally
underrated.
forgot. Man. But yeah, just peak comedy. 10 out of 10. Okay. Chef's kiss. Whoever animated this, please know that I will give you a smooch on the lips. Okay.
Yeah, you can tell that they definitely just had a lot of fun when animating it, which is very good. They put a lot of heart into it.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I do kind of hope that we get like a series and stuff like this again, but I'm not sure when. Which is the question. But I feel
When
like
we
the
least
next one
expect
that
it.
we, yeah, maybe when we least expect it. But I feel like majority of the time they release these during the summer, no? Like,
Kind of, yeah, it seems like that.
yeah.
Yeah, Elf Academy came out like it was like a summertime show, but since then they've been doing animes for the Lunar New
Like,
Year, right?
like winter
I mean, the
season.
Lunar New Year one's kind of like the one that they do every year. Because there's
Yeah.
like the Himiko one, and then there was the Golden Courtyard, which is probably we're gonna talk about next. And then
Yeah.
what was the last one's name? The one with like Kiana and Co.
No one can convince me that's not canon.
And then
Yeah,
that one, it
I
seems
believe it's
like
canon. Okay, the Among Us episode.
The fact that they specifically left it to when 1.5 was finished to put it out, and they have Grizio in it, and they have Mistolin like just walking around in the background in one of the scenes.
yeah.
It shows that they very much wanted it to be, because they specifically did it that way.
Yeah. But yeah, so Golden Courtyard guys, huh? How
Yeah,
did
like
y'all feel like after having that shit fresh off of because of you?
oh my
Golden
god.
Courtyard. I'm so
It's kind
disappointed we didn't get more.
of real.
I'm surprised we got 2
It's
episodes in the first place. So like, she
yeah,
It just
like
kind of goes to show how much they loved these characters. I wasn't expecting something of like this caliber for them, and it like touched on all the feelings that people were feeling at the time, and it was people loved this animation, and it like brought to remembrance all the good feelings and sad feelings of the Elysian Realm arc.
real.
yeah.
Like because of like especially the end of Because of You, where it shows like how all of them could have lived their lives had none of it ever happened. And Golden Courtyard kind of give us a taste of them like living normal lives, even though
Yeah.
like realistically they would not have met had it not been for all the stuff that happened. But like let's ignore that. Let them be
the
happy.
choices are so good as characters, and the fact that they have such a sad story, getting to see them just living their lives, it's so nice. We need more of it.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
It's always really nice whenever they like have these little animations where you kind of just get to see the characters just be domestic. Also, peak opening, okay?
Oh,
Hoya
I
versus
got
Nemesis.
I forgot about Roomba Klein.
Dude, Roomba Klein is so peak. It's so funny that Roomba Klein and regular Klein just exist in the same universe, you know?
Real.
Also, this Vilby outfit is peak.
True.
But, oh, man.
And the fact that they still hide Calpus's face. We still have never canonically seen, or in any media, seen Calpus's face.
Yeah.
The comedic levels of concealment on his face is amazing.
I would have watched a whole season of this.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would be. Turned out to only be a 2-episode
It was
thing.
too short. They should have given us more. Ah!
Everyone was so hype about it, but why isn't there more?
Yeah, I also remember all the illustrations that they put up on the Honkai channel, especially the one from Jurunk. You know, I
You
know
mean the
Jurunk
one
is
with
one
all
of
the
the
guys like being like ultra buff?
dude. Like, okay, the way that Jurunk draws is like so tasty. I want to draw like that. Like,
Let me see if I can find it.
don't worry, I could find it. Don't worry, I got you. But like, dude, I love Jurunk's art so much. Also, they did like, at least on their account, they showed the design concepts for Diabolical Kevin. So I assume that they did the designs for him, and it seems up their alley.
Actually,
Yeah, I
now
found
that I
it.
think about it, since we're seeing Griseo here in this clip of Golden Courtyard, um, eh, if I'm correct, like Griseo being a manga artist is something that was introduced in this and not necessarily in Elysian Realm itself.
Yeah, they're right. I'm pretty sure she didn't do anything
It's
like
like
that in
in
Elysian
like the
Realm.
context of Elysian Realm, she was just
An
she was like a
artist.
fine artist, right? But
Yeah,
this brought in the idea that she was like into making dojin, which is like now as like an
hilarious.
artist in the story now, she is like caught up with mangaka deadlines and stuff. So
Dude, I think it's a little bit insane that they posted up that one picture of Griseo like covering her screen from Cosmo. Like, I forgot that if that was like posted
Oh,
for this like thing, but like I just thought about it the other day.
yeah,
I totally forgot about that illustration.
like they put like veins on Kevin's arm. Like, calm
Look
down.
at Alphys! Like,
The
oh my god!
Yeah,
I like
veins
how
are
you're zooming in onto
crazy.
his titties. Yeah, his veins go crazy.
yeah,
But
it's like
like, dude, they also have like Vilvia and Eden and Aponia in it, and like, oh,
teeny
Vilvia's
tiny
so
up here in the
slay, and
corner.
like,
Just
actually,
everywhere
wait,
but
Eden's
Slay.
outfit kind of reminds me of like Vita's like fit a little bit.
It kind of does.
Yes, it very
Yeah,
much does.
it has like the same design language. But like, I gotta say, one of the stars of the show here, Cosmo, he looks so like cute here. I want to pinch his cheek like a grandma.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate that so much Flame Chaser stuff was in side content. That's why
Yeah,
Elysium Realm was good. But yeah, so much of the previous era stuff was told through the manga. Like there's the whole Divine Key manga, which not even all of it got translated, and that's its whole other issue. There's the World Serpent manga. There's London Holiday Second Key. There's all of these mangas that work to tell the story of the previous era, which for some reason we don't get in a lot of places, despite it being this whole big thing that, yeah, is really big to the story.
yeah, they end up really
Yeah,
front loading a lot of that previous era information in Elysian Realm. I think they
yeah,
realized that we're just like, well, we got a lot of holes to fill.
yeah, exactly. Like it really felt like with Elysian Realm, they were like, "Oh wait, we have to answer a lot of this before we actually wrap this story up."
Yeah,
While also
Yes.
but
introducing 13 characters, like
Oh yeah.
like that
I
was
mean, it
that
does
was
help that some of the
Herculean
characters
task.
are already characters that we know, but like,
Mhm.
there's still quite a little bit of characters, even with the characters that we do know. Like,
Honestly,
just
yeah.
yeah,
On the topic of manga, I noticed there's this feeling, which I don't think is invalid, but there's this feeling in the player base that like, oh, the story these days is super super long and there's so much content to go through, which I don't think is like wrong, like that it's true. But a lot of the first half of Honkai Impact story is bolstered by all of this content that you had in like the manga and stuff, And to be
Yeah.
quite honest, I actually kind of preferred it that way on a personal level because the manga told the story in such a really engaging, self-contained way. But I do think it's better for everything to be just like in the main story, you know.
mm.
But at least for the time investment, I don't think there's more story time invested now compared to before if you take into account like reading the manga and doing the visual novels.
Yeah, honestly, I would argue that compared to like the first like 10-ish chapters, that plus the manga, I think that plus the manga is genuinely shorter than like the length of the recent chapters.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, because like it takes, at worst, we'll say at worst, it takes like 20 something hours to get through like Longshore arc and Salt Snow Holy City. You know, two super long arcs and stuff, but like reading like the visual novels, like those take up a lot of time. And you know,
well,
like
I doubt that any
corruption
normal
takes a
person's
lot of,
gonna go out and look for the visual novels. Ultimately, that's like
yeah.
a deep dive for if you really want to know the lore.
I think it's like a give and take kind of situation. There were like the good thing now is that like all the information that people need to know is in one place, so people get less confused, I think. But the
Yeah.
trade-off is that like it affects the pacing quite a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice having them split because it does not feel like you're taking on a massive workload at times. But um, yeah, it does have issues of it is all over the place as a result. So bringing it together did lead to it becoming longer, but also easier to follow.
Yeah, I think like the result is starting from part two, like, and I'll say no, starting from like Salt Snow Holy City, there's been less questions that I think people have had about like I didn't really understand about like this facet of the story, you know, because everyone like experienced it, and even if they glaze over during, you know, the chapters, at least they saw it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's called skill issue.
Real.
But yeah, like I think most people playing through the part two story and then coming to others about questions about it, like there isn't like, oh, I think I didn't really know like who these characters were here or there. It's like it's all very self-contained, which, you know, it's
Yeah.
that is one of the benefits.
In
Yeah.
some way, they have kept up to separating things by using like in-game books, but you don't have to jump around to different like sites and things to understand everything, which is definitely a benefit in the long run for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. And anything that they bring up in those lore books and side stuff, um, well, really just in the first three chapters, they were in books that weren't just encountered in the main story. But since then, it's like everything that you read is like right in the player's face. For better and for worse, like everyone encounters every piece of media, you know.
Pretty much. Like if I have to give one thing to like the early story being like really like loaded into like the mangas, is that for people who don't want to like download the game to get into it immediately, it's very easy for me to just send them a manga link and just be like, just read this, just read this.
Aha, that's how I got into Honkai.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, it's like Marty was just like, "Hey, Honkai's kind of peak." After he was doing like some research, he's just like, "Oh, I want to see Mihoyo's other games," and then like he like sent me like, you know, the reading list, and I was just like, "I'll read it because I trust your opinion," you know. And then like I read through it, and I was like, "Damn, the shit peak!" Like,
Mm.
and then I ended up reading basically every single one of the mangas on the site, and then I did read some of the older stuff just to see what it was like. Like I'm not sure if it's on here, but there's like that one manga where it's like Kiana goes into like a digital version of Elon Pelotanas, you know, but it's like retold
Right.
through like a sim and whatever.
Yes.
It's like it's kind of whack. Like
Mhm.
Otto's kind of drawn like a little,
No,
well, you know,
no one expects
like
the Spanish Inquisition.
Inquisition. But like there's like that. Oh yeah, this is the one. This is the one. Okay, so there's that one,
Mhm.
and then there was like another one that was covering like the events in Chio, like before they like put it into the game, I think.
Mhm.
So there was that one
Oh,
too.
oh, you mean the one that was taken
That one
out
was retconned.
completely?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
mystery of the stigmata or whatever it was called.
Yeah, that's a
So
complicated one because there's still a lot of topics which still fit, like the fact that Welt was looking at Himiko to be his successor. I really like that idea, and I really wish they had brought it back in because Yeah, it makes perfect
Too bad
sense.
what happened to Himiko.
Yeah.
I think thankfully most of the
Uh-huh.
ideas that are a part of that manga were like brought up and given newer and more like relevant context in alien space, you know.
Yes.
So it was good that they came back to it later, I think. But
Yeah,
I
like
really missed the
yeah.
manga.
They were just heat. They were heat.
Yeah, I have a friend, or I guess we have a friend who we had read Second Eruption, and kind of, crazy opinion, and I don't necessarily disagree with. They were like, "Oh, I like Second Eruption more than Chainsaw Man Part 1," and we were like, "Oh,
Whoa! Like,
Okay.
like
Uh,
that was like a strong opinion."
I mean, the
you
base,
know,
but
Chainsaw Man's
also that is
fans would like
crazy.
come after you. Like,
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
actually
I'm not
jumped.
I'm not naming no names, but like that was a strong opinion. Based for it though, totally based. I
Based.
get it. I get
yeah,
it.
Actually based.
but like, oh man,
I
and
do
then just
think
like,
I have recommended like you said, Momo. I have recommended the manga as an entry point for some people, just because like you know
people
some
can read at
people
their own pace.
when you play the game starting out like there is some clunkiness to the first like experience, and it's like I don't know what these characters are doing. I don't know like what's so great about this, like first couple chapters are a little bit corny, like I'll be for real. But
Yeah,
if you
Yeah.
read the manga, like Elan Pelatinas I consider like an entry point if you choose to, like has a really good explanation of like what the Valkyries do and like what the Honkai is and like the motivations in this world, and especially like introduction to Otto, right? And then it
Oh
leads
yeah.
like directly into Second Eruption, and I think people will need like some holes filled in for some things that are brought up in these like manga. But if someone wants to get right into like an engaging story, like especially these two provide such an important foundation to like the first half of part 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
I know
definitely
for
works.
me, I had like a very streamlined experience with Honkai because of it. So I can't help but recommend it to people. Like,
Yeah, as early as possible to read it, I would say.
mm-hmm.
Well, it
Pretty
very much
much.
JKCrafted,
does
please.
depends because the manga can be overwhelming, like having to jump between it. It very much depends on the person. If they are someone who already likes anime, which, face it, Honkai Impact is an anime game. There's no way around that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
if they're already reading manga, watching anime, the manga acts as a good entry point. But if they're someone who just wants to play a game, then they're probably not going to want to read the manga. So you'll probably suggest they read it a little later than if there was someone that liked anime a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I know. For me, I read and watch a shit ton of anime and manga, so like none of this was like a problem, at least for me. And I feel like most like people who are would get into a game like Honkai are already anime fans, so I don't feel like necessarily it's too much of a problem. Though I guess getting people to read like past those first two manga may be a little bit difficult because there are some of these that are like kind of products of their time a little bit like.
Oh yeah, like the Escape from Nagazora, which
Oh
great
boy.
story, great and important story, but it is a bit we'll just say it's like High School of the Dead. Very
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
simplistic.
think that's all you need to say. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean it's exactly what it is, right? Like they're fighting zombies, and it's very suggestive.
Yeah, this was one of the earliest mangas when it was still connected to Gun Girls in some point.
Oh,
So this
the
originally
earliest
released on their
manga.
site. Yeah, so it originally released on their site before coming over. So they still didn't have an identity for Impact Third yet. So it definitely takes a lot of those more suggestive parts of retrospective and shows it here, which can make people hesitant to try and play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just beware of the content warning.
Yeah.
Pretty
There
much.
There are some things in these mangas that may be products of their time. I don't think that Second Eruption and like World Serpent, London Holiday, like the most of the newer stuff is like relatively like I think they're relatively okay in striking that balance of like
Yeah.
story stuff and then also not being like super like horny on screen. But
Yeah,
definitely like
it's
a lot
like
of the older stuff like can have that, which may irk some people.
yeah.
So
There's some
best to
very
keep that
heavy
in mind.
topics. There's some very heavy topics in like the earliest manga to be
Moonshadow.
aware of. Yeah, Moonshadow's got some scenes that are
Uh,
very questionable. A Invasion's got lots of questionable scenes.
look at the gratitude arc. Like,
Gratitude arc. Oh, they hamstrung her.
yeah. Sorry, every
Yeah.
time every time I think of they hamstrung her, I just remember how many times they said that in the manga, and I like talked about it with Murray. I was just like, dude, they keep on saying it, like, like we get it. They hamstrung her. Like,
there's a lot of edgy emo violence, I think, in the some of the early stuff.
Earlier stuff. Yeah.
It's something to be aware of.
They really took advantage of the authority of binding.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of the larger issues with the side content. The writers clearly didn't have to stick to the same standard as within the games themselves, so they do go off at sometimes.
I will say some of the translations that they have for the official site for some of the manga, I'm specifically thinking about that one moment with Kiana and Siegfried is like
the slur.
kind of whack. Like,
yeah.
So personal recommendation. Look up.
Bring it to us, but like.
Some of this lingo that they'd be making Siegfried say is like insane. Like,
just give it some grace.
I mean, they kind of do that to Ziggy in like retro as well.
Damn. Yeah,
like with
but
like his tone, but yeah,
there was like a fan translation that was like supposedly more accurate to the text. That was like a little less raunchy. So I was just like,
And I know the Hoyo Stands team is working on retranslation project for some of these manga to be up to be more accurate, be up to standards.
Yeah, one of the issues with the manga is the translations team had a habit of adding in a bunch of stuff that wasn't there. Like in Sakura Memories, Otto isn't meant to say any words at all. It's just meant to be him standing there in front of Teresa's tank when she's born. But in the English, they add a whole Frankenstein's monster rant.
What the fuck?
He goes schizo mode.
Oh my god. Now maybe this is why Otto gets mischaracterized a lot. Like, also, I don't know. I feel like Otto's like early characterization was like way different compared to the Otto that we get in game. Like,
yeah.
And of course, I actually talked about this earlier today with Grape, and like I was just like, Grape was just like, yeah, I actually like, I know Otto like he's like a good villain and stuff, but I still can't forgive him. And it's just like, yeah, that's like an understandable statement to have.
Yeah.
But like the main reason why was actually because of Otto's early characterization, specifically in the sim arcs and stuff, or like, because like Otto in like the early material is very how should I say without saying words that could get me demonetized?
He's defined by his relationship to Colin, which hadn't been flushed out at that point.
Yeah.
And his obsession was like not as nuanced as it became by the time of like Elon Palatinas and Thus Spoke Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot more shallow, and as a result, he was a lot more of a straightforward villainous type character.
Yeah, he definitely needed a lot of more character development, which came later on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And actually,
I feel like the direction that they took him in, though. Like,
yeah, and that's kind of something that I feel like they have this moment in the Thus Spoke Apocalypse animation where they show scenes from like things that Otto has done over time, and you can see how like his presence in the story developed in so many different ways through that like little clip show, you know. Like
I've watched that clip show so many times. It's
Yeah.
like it really does get across like how much he's gone like through and like how much has changed him.
mm-hmm.
Like not to go on like a tangent, but he even says like had they not shown him like that they were capable of handling it, he would have just honestly went through with that plan of just like erasing the timeline back to Colliston. But yeah, like I think the characterization of Otto early on like wasn't exactly the best.
Yeah. Actually, I feel like one of the things that really kind of like turned, or like, they really solidified Otto's character was actually an AEVN, which is like something that like they don't really like.
True.
You know, they don't really put into like in-game stuff, but like I feel like in general, like Otto is definitely a lot, way more like fleshed out in comparison to like, you know, how he is in those like early manga. Like you kind of get to see him do some fucked up shit, but like also he has like this very like you know, he has a situationship with Walt Joyce. Okay, like
Yeah, his relationship with Joyce is a very interesting one because
yeah,
they're on like the opposite sides, but they are also both connected to the Herrscher of Reason, and they have a lot of insights, but also not so much at certain things. They're on opposite sides, but they're the same, and it gives a really good character dynamic.
I think it's interesting that Otto is actually like a central character of all three visual novels. I mean, it kind of goes to show that for quite some
True.
time, Otto was really like the main villain of HI3
It's the true
until like
protagonist.
until they like, you know, spread it out a little bit more. But
Yeah,
he
like
he was like such a big part of all these stories.
I feel like most people interpreted him as the main villain up until like it got to the point where with Kevin, where people were like, "Oh, he's not."
yeah, and then you know Otto went ahead and just fucking killed himself. Like
Yeah, which makes perfect sense, but people didn't really see it coming, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah. But I think with the visual novels, it's interesting to see like how it filled out like different eras at the same time. You know, Anti-Entropy visual novel, of course, is about like the 1955 period and about how Anti-Entropy was formed, and
Yeah,
gives us all the characterization that we need to know about Einstein and Tesla and their whole gang. And like clearly, the writers love this story because they reference it all the time, you know, and
all
and it leads into like why they love the concept of anti-entropy so much. You know, Bronya is always like uh harkening back to it whenever she thinks about like the legacy of the name of wealth, you know, and just
yeah,
how Corley as a character like is proud of her anti-entropy heritage. And most of that like most of those values come from what was defined in the anti-entropy visual novel.
yeah. I also got to see, like, the main reason I ended up reading Anti-Entropy visual novel was because I actually really wanted to find out more about Einstein because I remember seeing her in the manga, and I was just like, oh, she's kind of cool, I kind of like her. Like,
Yeah,
and then,
in a lot of ways, it's like Einstein's story. You know, like it's
it
about
really is.
Joyce and it's about everybody else, but like Einstein is really the you could say the central girl. You know,
Just,
Mophead.
oh,
yeah.
Mophead. I love my Mophead. Also, why is Otto sending pictures of himself dressed up as a vampire to other men? That's
I was gonna say like you were talking about the whole dynamic between Joyce and Otto. I'm like, yeah, and it got a little bit spicy, you know.
like, bro, why are you sending those? Like,
Like I don't know, like inviting him to like a hot tub to talk it out. Like that's kind of crazy. I'm just
yeah, that's a little
Something,
bit insane.
something that's really interesting is if Joyce accepted Otto's deal to take over Schicksal, we could have avoided most of the main problems within the story. True, Otto would have just gone off and done his own thing, but he wouldn't have all of Schicksal's resources at his disposal. So we can blame everything on Joyce.
Damn,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's Joyce.
I've had this thought for a long time that like Otto really like genuinely intended for Walt Joyce to become his successor, which is kind of like it's really a crazy thought, like how much that would change. And you know, it would have been cool, I think, for them to explore that idea, but it wasn't really relevant to anybody else.
Yeah, well,
Man.
I just considered this a high distinct possibility that if he did do that, that he would have never ended up with Teresa. Like maybe he would have still tried to like clone Colin, but maybe he wouldn't have like gone with the whole Teresa thing.
Yeah.
Maybe that wouldn't have happened.
I doubt he would have
Teresa.
had the resources to clone.
Yeah.
Mm,
Something else, like I mean, anti-entropy visual novel is a huge topic on its own, but something else I think interesting about it is that it doesn't actually end in a very clear way. You're kind of supposed to do anti-entropy visual novel at the same time that you do Second Eruption, um, and like it's kind of strange because Second Eruption also relies on anti-entropy visual novel to like explain some things. But so you can definitely tell that these two stories are meant to be like done in parallel. Nobody's gonna do it that way, and I wouldn't recommend doing it like that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
there are
What's
some parts of the story that are affected by it.
Yeah,
what's
I'm just upset that they ended it so quickly.
What's interesting about the Anti-Entropy visual novel is it didn't start off as a visual novel. There is an archive version somewhere of it as a light novel. And yeah, so
Interesting.
it started development a lot earlier than it actually came out. So yeah.
Yeah, you can
Oh
see
yeah.
that in the light novel version, there's like completely different art styles and
Yeah.
more suggestive art. I'll be completely honest, but
Sus?
they've definitely been thinking about this as like a big backstory for like the Honkai verse for you know pretty early in the development of Honkai 3.
Yeah. Now I pray every day that an Einstein and Tesla battlesuit will be real. Okay.
Real.
I'm coping, okay? Like part 2, like
If they
anything
don't
could
do it
happen,
next
man.
year, okay, if they don't do it by next year, okay, I need this on my table in 2025, Mihoyo. If there's no Teresa and Einstein battlesuit in 2025, I will come and eat your boots, okay? Like, I will take them, and I'm taking your boots with me.
Well, the second
Incredible.
visual novel is the Durandal visual novel, which came immediately after Anti-Entropy, which it's so interesting that they just went right into like exploring Durandal's story, and it's like this huge backstory and stuff, and it's a character we've never met before, and I'm sure people were like, "Oh, tell me more about Rita," and this this visual novel kind of goes places.
It really does. It
I
really
think that's an
does.
understatement.
Like, I don't know. I like one very distinct thing that I remember. Like, there's like this whole like Aztec. Like they go to this like Aztec area, and I think it goes from like Aztec area, and then like this like girl tries to like murder the whole crew, and you know, girl just becomes unsuccessful. She like fucking dies. I kind of forgot how the fuck she died. And then like literally after that, they like find this talking dragon in like this next universe. It's like the first
No,
like two
it's
arcs
the same
of this like
one.
story is like fine in my opinion, but then like everything else afterwards just makes me go like why like
Yeah, this girl.
and oh yeah, this girl that gets sacrificed.
It also ends in just like an incredibly abrupt way. This is a problem with
Oh,
all the
here's the
visual
snake
novels.
lady. Oh
Yeah,
You,
it's a hot.
you know what you just you reminded me of that one meme where it's like killing myself in front of you to forever change the trajectory of your lives.
oh my god.
Real. That's basically what happens over and over in Durandal visual novel. Like, I don't. I think the ideas it brings up are kind of interesting because Durandal visual novel is like the first time that we really get. Well, I don't know how the timeline lines up with the Sea of Quanta arc, like the Eye of the Deep stuff, but it is like a big exploration of like what life is like in like a bubble universe, and it defined a lot of the mechanics of like how it works. There's good old Professor Rock Schrodinger, who's always yapping to us. She's a big part of the story.
I will say Shakespeare and like the whole Alexandria arc characters were actually my favorite in this. But like,
yeah, I actually think the
I feel
first
like,
arc of this visual novel is like really good. Actually,
but then like I don't know. Once we start going to like Aztec land, it's like it kind of goes down the shitter a little bit. Like,
do they ever even reference the Aztec stuff?
I don't think so.
No.
So Durandal visual novel, like to summarize for anyone who's listening to this and isn't really familiar at all with what it's about, is Durandal, when she's like 12 years old, is assigned with Rita to go on a mission for the first time, and they're sent to this really strange bubble universe, and they're tasked with gathering, what was it, seven gems to complete.
Yeah,
the
like
Sword
7
Durandal.
gems, and then and they have to break the wall. Like,
Yeah, there's this big wall around Europe, and they have to like break it, and it's just the whole arc is just about Durandal like getting her power ups and exploring like her motivations and stuff, and developing her relationship with some of these other characters, and especially with Rita.
Durandal also gets to try spicy food, and she's like dying. I think that moment's kind of cute.
Yeah, there's a lot
Then
of.
Shigure. I totally forgot what happens like Shigeru and afterwards. To be honest, though, like, because I think I like mentally checked out after a certain point.
That's natural. Yeah. Shigeru Kira shows up, and this is where we really get an exploration of her whole like side with, I've got an alien parasite and stuff, and you get to deal with Shigeru Kira's like whole tone deafness, which they brought up later. So a lot of Kira's character development comes from this visual novel as well.
Yeah, this visual novel is definitely one of the ones that I keep going back to in the story, just outside of it. And a lot of people haven't read it, which means a lot of things they keep bringing up doesn't make sense. Like in the latest part 2 story, Durandal's now a child again due to that stuff. And most people will have no idea why, which, if they haven't read this.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense, like contextually with this.
Yeah, it's like the Durandal visual novel was basically her first like formative moment in her life. It's like everything that like defined her whole journey, and it's what forced her to go from like her happy-go-lucky Kiana like self to the serious Durandal, is a result of her experience here and how important it was to her, So
Yeah.
I think we'll probably see the part 2 Durandal have some elements from this era as well. We'll see if they'll retread it again, or if they'll just keep it light for people's sakes,
Mm-hmm.
Was that fucking Dracula?
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so another thing about Durandal visual novel is that a lot of the stigmata that show up, like of historical figures, are characters in the Durandal visual novel. It's an important plot point.
Canon.
Yeah. And like it is really funny to me, like the entire concept of part 2, or at least some concept for part 2, like the what is it that they call Dreamseeker at the very beginning? She's like a star whisperer, right?
Yeah,
Star Whisperer.
The idea of a star whisperer is like integral to the last parts of like Durandal visual novel, and like how that story ends. So it like for how clunky this story is, the writers really like it.
Oh, Ragna.
Yeah. Oh, right. This is also where Ragna's story and her relationship to Rita and Durandal is really explored for the first time. And just as a reminder, Ragna was Kimiko's squad leader as well, so she was like an important Valkyrie, and for like Rita, Durandal, and Himiko.
And then we have our last visual novel, Wuhua visual novel, which barely has translations.
Yeah, we have the unfinished saga of the Shattered Swords, otherwise known as the Seven Swords. I don't know why the image isn't loading.
And then
But
they randomly,
didn't finish it.
Yeah, didn't finish it, but they had peak art from Jurunk, my favorite artist.
Yeah.
It's like kind of crazy to me because like the production quality on this visual novel was like actually getting pretty high because like Anti-Entropy VN and Doodoo VN are kind of clunky. You know, they got some of that early game jank, but like some of the like animations in this story are like kind of impressive. Like they totally changed up like the interface and stuff, and like the audio quality is better. They have like this fight sequence with like Sushong and like this bandit dude. I don't know if I can find it, but it's like
Yeah, we
towards the
could
end.
put it in post.
But it's like kind of impressive. And so like they were putting a lot of effort into this one. And then they just stopped after chapter 2.5.
Yeah, and then
Hey,
Shushank's like backstory never really got completed after that.
yeah,
Like, of
like
course, you could like fill in the blanks with like a bunch of like external material, but like you don't get to experience it personally in this VN, which makes me a little bit sad.
if I remember correctly, didn't they like post like a picture of like Colin in that art style and then just refuse to elaborate?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
they
she's,
did.
they updated it recently. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
It's basically like, why?
like everyone was like, "Oh my god, are they continuing?" And then they just didn't elaborate.
Yeah.
yeah.
Makes
So
me,
clearly they had big plans for this, but they never quite got to it.
yeah. Makes me wonder if it was a money thing, because clearly the production value went up a lot. So they would have been spending more money on it. So it could have been a case where they couldn't justify it because they weren't making any money from the actual visual novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's also probably a timing thing because Fuhua's art was like ending, you know, and it was like, are they really going to come back to this? And just on like all the external media was basically coming to an end, or at least the manga visual novel stuff. Nothing really ever came out by the time that this was canceled. So priorities must have
Yeah,
shifted internally, you
Yeah.
know.
yeah, because
Man, all these
by now,
illustrations are
like,
peak
yeah,
though.
true.
Like the art is really fantastic in
Once again, not a day goes by where I don't like, you know, dang it, I can't say that. That's a little bit too much, but like, like I was gonna say, like I love Jurunk's art style so goddamn much. Like, yeah, I'm a simp for Jurunk. Okay, they're my favorite.
Sushong's just such a cute character, you know, and
Yeah.
you get a whole lot of her characterization um, in this visual novel. I mean, it's her introduction, right? So everything
Mhm.
that defines her character in HSR and Honkai 3 later on comes from like the foundation that they lay here, where she's just kind of like, you know, a young girl
Little
who's
guy.
just trying to, yeah, just a little guy. She's trying to figure out like her place in this very strange world, and then of course her like connection with Otto and like all of the stuff that he's got going on, and like the mystery was really good. I have to say, it was like getting interesting.
Yeah.
And we never even really get to Fuhua in this
Yeah,
visual novel that is about Fuhua.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more important ones to read, especially when it comes to the Colostan arc.
yeah,
Because she kind of just shows up there at the end, and you have no idea why. If you haven't read it, like you don't
Yeah.
know who Su Shang is. She's just there. She is the third S-Rock Valkyrie. Um, she has a history with Fuhua. She knows all this stuff, but there's just not a lot of information if you haven't gone and read it.
Yeah,
And even now, there's
it's
still
yeah.
a huge chunk missing because the story was never finished.
yeah. That's just the strange thing about it is they carry on with the story as if like we were supposed to know stuff, and everyone's confused because nothing ever happened, right? So, even if you didn't read the Sushang visual novel, at the end of the day, like everyone's confused equally. So, what can we say?
Real.
Yeah. Makes me wonder
Like-
if they just have a document that has the rest of the story in it.
Oh
they
my
just
goodness.
Oh, I'm
It's just
sure
in their
the
basement.
Honkai Story Bible.
Yeah, Mohoyo, release those documents right now, okay?
leak
Quite
them, leak
honest,
them.
I was kind of hoping that Phosphorus arc was going to be about the Seven Swords era. In the end, it ended up being more about like exploring
Vita
the
show.
Yeah, the
Vitas
flame chaser side, yeah.
and like the Flame Chaser side and like the Moriarty era, which is like still interesting. But it's
Moriarty
like
jump scare.
Mihoyo, you have this huge hole in your story that like is possibly important. Like you ever gonna fill that in? I would say that out of every like I don't want to call it a plot hole, but like what else can we say other than it is a huge chunk of story that is like missing. We know how it ends, but we don't know what happened in between. This is like the biggest case of that in the entire story of Honkai 3.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I kind of wish like in a similar vein to like how GGZ had the legacy arc, like that we got something similar with Honkai Third, like the whole like 500 years ago time period, like have an entire arc dedicated to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a big story that has not been explored too much for some reason. Hopefully, we'll come back.
Even
to
an
that.
event. I'd appreciate if they like fleshed it out in an event or something. But,
Yeah, where's my Shushong event that actually expands upon it?
Or just
Yeah.
give us a document that full of text so we'll read through
Release.
Release
Yeah.
the document. Put it in the
I'm
next
led to
workbook,
believe-
please.
I'm led to believe the fact that they haven't gone back to it. Maybe they're just hoping that we forget, and I'm sure most people have forgotten. But
Yeah.
And
maybe
then they make an
like-
entire HSR achievement based on it.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
Bro.
in some form or another, I do expect them to at least do something with this again somehow, some way. Maybe I'm on copium.
Would be interesting
Well,
if we got the rest of it through HSR.
That's what I was thinking, actually,
That's
because
what
like I remember.
thinking the Shinto arc was going to be about. In the beginning, I was like, okay, clearly the Xianzhou is based on like the ancient and medieval China setting of like Honkai 3.
Yeah.
So I thought,
Arrow.
yeah,
I guess it's possible that like Laucha is like literally a variant of Otto from like a world where these events did happen, because like he does let on that he knows a lot more than he's saying. So I wouldn't be surprised if like he already went through the events of like an Otto that went through the events of Shattered Sword but didn't go through the events of like what happens later in Honkai Third.
That is kind of an interesting thought. I never really thought about it that way. I guess while we're on the topic of HSR, we could probably talk about it a little bit here because it's somewhat external material now.
Right.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be our topic to end on.
Yeah, the fact that they, in newer chapters, they're bringing in a lot of HSR stuff, but at this point at least, they haven't given massive explanations for it. So a lot of people are seeing it as they're just expecting you to have read HSR, which does come back to the whole thing of go read the outside material or you don't know what this is. So it's not new for Honkai, but I do think they will explore it later.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they give,
like to explain everything.
I hope they give like more of a context within HI3 itself, because at least the way it is right now is that none of the characters in Honkai 3 should know about like HSR story stuff. They've never been exposed to it before, and so it's all mumble jumble to them too.
And story also hasn't happened yet, so
Yeah,
like
exactly. So I hope within like the context of HI3 we get like a sequence of like our characters learning a little bit more about like what's going on with like the Eon system and stuff like that.
Yeah, like it's also like a little troubling because I'm thinking like, okay, so Sparkle is there, but this is like at least 7 years prior to Penacony, and Weld is still on Earth. Weld cannot become aware of Sparkle. Because if he does, I'm
like,
going to
I know her."
lose my mind.
Like, if Sparkle shows up like in the Martian recordings, you know, that like
Yeah.
really mess the timeline a little bit.
Yeah.
Dude, my crack theory is that Sparkle came from Mars, so
That is some
that is crazy.
yeah. I'm just
Oh, well,
saying
that
it would make
makes sense.
like, you know, if she came from Mars, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. Like, look at the setting. Look at her trailers.
Lol.
Even though I know her trailers are a fucking lie.
Sparkle is actually Mara. No. No.
But like, for real though, if Mara's able to get outside of the universe, I don't think that it's impossible for like people like Sparkle to leave, you know?
Yeah.
That would mean that Sparkle is stupidly older than the Aeon following, though. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't make the most.
If she's from Mars.
HSR in
Wouldn't be the
general
first time.
has this strange thing of like HSR's timeline really only extends like a couple 100,000 years, which is like a long time. But HI3's like timeline is significantly longer than that.
It's literally less than 1% of how far back Honkai Third's timeline goes.
Yeah, it brings up a lot of strange questions, like, you know, like Martian human civilization is a billion years old, you know, like what kind of impact does that have on the entire cosmology, you know? So, but
what kind of Honkai Impact?
Yeah. So it's just no, it's good. It's just a little bit like I wonder how they will resolve this. I'm sure in the writers' room they've thought like they've had these questions come up. So I want to try to have some faith in them, even if it is a bit strange right now. I think I just feel bad for anyone who is a HI3 only and has stayed that way and doesn't have HSR experience. Like we'll see how things go for them playing through this event. And,
it's very clear they want to connect all the games. Like,
Girls
had a full reset to line up with HI3 a while back, where they completely rewrote the story. When HI3 was just coming out. So yeah, they clearly want the games to be connected. They've wanted them to be connected from the very start, but it does bring up some questions, and they do need to sort some things out.
It definitely feels like for the past like few years they've wanted to do it, but they were just like deathly terrified of actually doing it.
Oh yeah, I think especially if we think back to the whole Flame Chaser like Genshin connection stuff that people were all like hyped and theorizing about, and then they backed off of that. You know.
Yeah.
Aponia, is that the Welkin girl?
Oh my god.
And like I think a lot of that was player supposition rather than anything that was written.
Yeah, it's more so like the Traveler's introductions being narrated by someone named KK.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then well, to me it's like if I were the writers, I'd know that people were looking for that kind of information, right? So for them to do it and then left turn from that is like, well, it's okay. I like the story that we got at the end of the.
Let's watch them make KK Slider from Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Bruh.
KK is KK Slider from Animal Crossing, guys.
They trying to be quaint. They trying to be quaint.
Next thing you know, Kevin Kaslana is actually Dainsleaf.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry, I need to stop with my voice.
Number 15.
At least to kind of round out our discussion, I did really enjoy like going through all of this like back material. Like, yeah, it was homework. Yeah, it was kind of like a mess to try to put it all together. Thankfully, like there were people who experienced it at the time who can help put it all together, and Plenty of guides that are out there to help harmonize things. But I don't know. I really liked something that I feel like is missing these days from like these long stories and backgrounds is like I really liked the manga and the visual novels for telling self-contained stories. You know, like you could
Yeah.
have a plot about certain characters from beginning to end, and like follow like their motivations there. You know, without like having it have to be connected to like whatever the main plot is. You know, like I don't know,
Right.
it was like a
Because
great character exploration.
true. Because like now they have to be way more careful with like keeping like some sort of consistency. Like make sure that whatever they introduce doesn't contradict something else.
Mhm. Exactly. And I think like Otto has so much exploration in the manga and side material, and I think it's like difficult for them to find the time to do that for any one character these days. You know, I mean they're trying to with
Mhm.
Vita, but like the format of like the medium led to being able to explore like a really big cast, but also giving them the time of day. You know.
Yeah, splitting it up definitely led to a lot of positives, but also it did rely on the word of mouth a lot, which has left to some complications. So dropping it did make some sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it was a great way of making the world feel big, I think,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
if we think about it, like the Anti-Entropy cast, the Second Eruption cast, like the Seven Swords people, the Durandal visual novel people, and like everybody who's explored in like all of the mangas and like all their individual casts. And something that I think is great is like they don't have to shoehorn in characters just because they want to sell them as like gotcha characters, you know? It's like they were
Right.
characters just for the sake of storytelling in that era of like the media, you know. So it was just interesting, you know, to have that. So
Yeah. But, you know, it was a wild ride. And it still is a wild ride.
It's
yeah,
never
And we'll
gonna
miss
stop
some
being a
external
wild ride.
material.
Yeah.
Yeah, get freaking Honkai Electric Boogaloo. That's what it is.
yeah, it's given the story such a charm that you honestly just won't find in a lot of other media, including Hoyo's other media. Like this, Honkai Impact holds a charm that you just won't find elsewhere, and that's a big draw to it.
Yeah. That's what sticks me to it. But yeah, so I guess we should start wrapping up soon. But
Yeah,
you
anyone got
know,
any final words?
the manga's peak. Please go read that at the very least.
If you
That's
somehow got through an entire podcast episode on this media without having experienced any of the media, stop what you're doing and go read Second Eruption.
please.
yeah, if there's any of these stories that is like, I would just say absolutely mandatory, like in Second Eruption. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've seen people live without it, but like, you are missing out. Genuinely, you are
Yeah.
missing out. I consider Second Eruption like probably my top two, top three stories in the entire Honkai 3 story.
Second Eruption's like the Bible of Honkai. Okay, fucking read it.
Pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So time to wrap up.
Yeah.
I'm JKCrafted. You can find me on different platforms at JKCrafted and over at the Hoyo stands and their different stuff. I'm just around. Feel free to speak to me if you want. Always happy to talk. Peach Salt, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm mainly an artist. You won't be catching me making videos, but maybe you'll see my speed paints on TikTok or YouTube or whatever social media's out there.
And Marty, where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me, MartyPCSR, on twitch.tv, YouTube, Blue Sky, and that terrible place called Twitter. That's where I'm mostly.
And finally,
Unfortunate.
Noah.
Yeah, you can find me on either like Twitter, occasionally Blue Sky, and I have a YouTube that is barely used. But you usually just see me screaming at people saying XP on Twitter. That's pretty much
Oh,
it.
yeah. Okay. Well, I guess it's goodbye, guys. See ya!
Bye, everyone.
Bye!
We need to see the thing. We need to see
yeah.
the thing.
Oh, and fight for all that's beautiful in the world! Yo!
Fight for all that's
Bye,
beautiful in the world.
everyone.